Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Absolutely Studying podcast. Today, we are talking about unlocking the benefits of self-care as an overwhelmed university student. Midterms are coming up and it is a wild ride, especially if this is your first semester, especially if you are a new student, especially if you are a first semester mature student with other obligations like a full-time job, a family at home, anything like that. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, but in order to have the best output, you're gonna need to have a little bit of input other than study. And that's what we're talking about today, self-care. So buckle up, let's get going, and we will get straight to business. So first things first, when we're talking about self-care, and that is the myth of self-care, that it is some luxurious spa day where you shut out the entire world. You're just focusing on pampering and crazy facials and scrubs and all of the skincare, when self-care is really so much more than that. Self-care is very all-encompassing. It can be anything that you do to return you back to center, that gets you feeling more like yourself. So that jog you take in the morning, or that caramel macchiato that you order from Starbucks as a treat, those are all forms of self-care, and they are all extremely valid. There is a time and a place for each and every form of self-care, and we can fit that seamlessly into your schedule to be able to find these little opportunities for you to reward and take care of yourself during this crazy, hectic schedule that you're about to have. One of the biggest things that you need to remind yourself is that self-care is not selfish. Taking care of yourself, refueling your tank, going in and reinvesting time and energy and resources into making you feel better about you and making you feel more balanced, more mindful, less stressed, is going to help you to give all of that positive energy back out into the world, back out into your family, back out into your work, back out into your academic commitments. And in that way, taking the time out for self-care, refueling your tank, making yourself feel better is going to make you more productive. It's going to make you have enhanced concentration, and it's going to elevate your cognitive ability. It's going to not only diminish, but reduce some of the symptoms of anxiety and depression. And those are all extremely positive side effects that you don't even have to consider when you are doing the actual act of self-care. So this is my argument for you to please take care of yourself. You don't have to take out a whole bunch of free time. You don't have to set aside hours a day for complicated, complex skincare routines with hard to pronounce ingredients. You don't have to shell out a whole bunch of money. We can have inexpensive, simple self-care ideas and routines that can fit into your schedule. This is going to be highly unique to you. And so developing these self-care acts, these self-care routines are going to take a little bit of trial and error. You know, I love the trial and error, but when you find one, when it hits and when it all starts falling into place, you're going to see just how much better you feel and how much better you perform. I know I kind of breezed over it, but I do want to take a second out and really discuss and highlight some of the benefits of self-care. This is not me just wanting to hawk a quick product. It's actually about your physical, your mental, and your emotional health. There are a ton of really great side effects that you get in addition to the actual act. So if you do some skincare, of course you have bright flowing skin, but there are other effects that have nothing to do with the actual act. So taking time out daily, weekly, for even monthly for self-care is going to help you to reduce anxiety and depression symptoms. This has been proven. I will stick some sources down below, but this has been proven time and time again that being able to take this time out, focus inward, take care of yourself is going to help to diminish some of those anxious feelings. It's going to help to elevate your mood just a little bit. And it's not a magic cure-all. That's not what I'm trying to hawk here. It's just that it's going to help. And if you do suffer from anxiety and you do suffer from depression or anything like that, you know that little bits add up to big gains. Little bits that can get you going in the morning, little bits that can get you to just break through that wall are going to be a huge help in being able to make larger moves, take larger steps in the overall scheme of things towards a healthier, happier mental state. Self-care also helps to enhance focus and productivity. Productivity and academic life is a constant drain. It's like visiting the ATM over and over and over again and only making withdrawals. I know I talk a lot about the Pomodoro method. I talk a lot about other kinds of breaks to kind of help you refuel your focus. But at the end of the day, over a long period of time, you are still consistently making withdrawals. Doing acts of self-care is a way to deposit. By this, you are going in and you are refueling your ability to be able to have the means to focus, the means to be productive, to have that extra cognitive function and really be able to dive into a task and give it your all. So in those ways, by actually refilling the tank, you are enhancing the ability and lessening the likelihood of burnout. Physical activity is one great example of this. When you are getting up and you're getting your blood pumping, you are moving your limbs, you're moving your blood, you're getting all of this big rush of oxygen to your brain. And that is going to give your brain more nutrients, more oxygen, everything it needs to really be able to perform at its peak. This is also very similar to daydreaming. By zoning out and having a few minutes of daydreaming, you're allowing your brain to tap into a different process. Usually during the day, you're focused, but this allows you to tap into the diffused part of your brain. This is where all of your creativity lies. You can come up with more creative solutions to problems or a more creative way of doing things. This is often called shower thoughts because you're allowing your brain to just float off and make up its own path. Both of these activities allow your brain to let go of all of the rigid focus that you put it through during the day and have a chance to just wander and disconnect. When it comes back, it is a little bit more recharged and a little bit more able to focus. My final argument for the benefits of self-care is actually improved time management. And this is often the hardest to get because it's the most counterintuitive, but let me explain. As you continue to focus, as you continue to deplete your resources of focus, even when you do take some breaks, you're going to start to wane in productivity. It's just human nature over time. If you force yourself to be productive for long periods of time, your body, your brain is eventually going to start to slip a little bit. It's going to start to get a little bit more relaxed. So when you do engage in self-care, you know what you feel like at your peak. You also know what you feel like when it starts to slip. Working self-care into your daily routine, whether it's your morning routine, your afternoon routine, your evening routine, moving these bits of self-care, these small acts of self-care into your routine is going to help you to identify when your productivity starts to wane and disconnect from that task faster and more efficiently. So when you disconnect from that task, you are not going to be wasting time. Think about it. You are super busy all day, rushing from task to task to task. Even though each task that you're jumping to is technically productive, your ability to jump on it and actually go through and be at peak productivity as you are working your way through and completing that task is going to wane. So suddenly, instead of just picking up the phone and making a phone call to book an appointment, for example, you are second guessing yourself, you're humming and hawing, and that is wasted time. when you disconnect from that task and you go and you indulge in a coffee or you go for a 15-minute walk, when you come back, you're ready to jump right in. You're going to make that call right away. You're going to jump on those notes right away. You're going to open that textbook right away. Now that 15 minutes that you took out of your productive time to go and take care of yourself, to refuel your tanks, to, light that fire, to take that walk and go get that coffee and come back and sit down and be productive again. Now, all of the tasks that follow it, you're not going to have those lulls in productivity, and so you can get them faster so that you can get back to more enjoyment. Okay, we've gone through a lot. I talked about understanding self-care, I talked about the benefits of self-care, and now I hope that I have convinced you that it is time to introduce self-care into your routine. So, where to start? I am going to make next week's video all about how to create a self-care routine. And one of the best ways is to just start by incorporating it into your daily morning routine and evening routine. So in the morning, for me, I do a 15-minute silent planning session. I make my coffee, I sit down with my day's schedule, with my weekly schedule. I make out my to-do list for the day. I plan out my day, my meals, anything like that. And that's my kind of 15 minutes to figure out my life and to figure out my intentions for the day and get my day started on a slow, intentional note. On the other hand, if you do enjoy skincare, having that evening routine where you do have your skincare routine worked in there is another great way to kind of effortlessly squeeze some self-care into your day. Also, identifying and having activities throughout the day that you can indulge in, either between classes or between study sessions, is also a great way. If you had a 10 or 15-minute cardio workout on a 20-minute Pomodoro break, or if you have a hobby that you really enjoy, working those things into your study or your daily routine are quick, simple 15 to 20-minute ways that you can indulge in self-care throughout the day without completely upending your routine. If you do really struggle to find the time or create a self-care routine, I should mention that last month's focus for the Absolutely Studying Academy was all about a time management challenge to create a perfect time management master plan for you and your schedule. And this month, of course, is all about making the perfect self-care routine. So if you are interested, I will leave links to the Absolutely Studying Academy, and that is what we did last month and this month, so they are already available. If you need more targeted help in creating your self-care routine, creating your time management routine, and heck, creating a morning, evening, and study routine, because there are classes for all of those in the Absolutely Studying Academy. One of the biggest hurdles that I do get myself, and as well as from other students about incorporating self-care into their daily routine, is always about the guilt they feel for taking out the time, taking out the resources to actually indulge and to actually do these acts of self-care. And that is a very, very personal conversation that you do end up having with yourself. It is something that you do have to wrestle with, regardless of if it is self-care, or sometimes I used to also wrestle with even just the cost of tuition. As you know, I went back to school as an adult. I was a single mom, I worked full time, and for me, taking the time and the resources out of my household, out of taking care of my son, and focusing them on my education, even though I knew cognitively and as a reality that I would be able to do more with him if I was educated and I had a good job. At the end of the day, when I had to pay that tuition, when I had to put the money towards those textbooks, it was still so hard for me to do because of the guilt. When I did have to go and take the time out to have a soak and a bubble bath or anything like that, it was always so racked with guilt because I thought that I should be spending all of my time, all of my resources, all of my energy on my son or on my job, trying to get a better job or trying to get a promotion. And I didn't realize that sometimes you really have to take a step back in order to take a step forward, a meaningful step forward. And sometimes taking that step back and just taking care of yourself is that little bit that you need to really push forward. Sometimes that's what you really need to be able to push forward and make that progress that you need to. University and college and post-secondary programs are the same thing. Instead of jumping out into the world, you're taking that moment to just take a step back and go to school and get that education and get those skills you need. Self-care is no different. It's the fuel that you need in order to continue to make the progress that you want to make towards the life that you want to live. But that's the end. We are going to wrap it up here. Next week, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to create a self-care routine. It'll be an overview. If you do want something more in depth, again, you are welcome to head over to the Absolutely Studying Academy and check out those masterclasses. But until next time, I hope you find something that works for you. Go take a walk, get yourself a latte, do some skincare, enjoy your hobby, carve some time out to take care of you and do what refuels you, your brain, your spirit, your emotional energy. And until next time, I hope you have an amazing adventure.